So Ring Magazine officially announced there will be an exhibition match between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis on November 15th live on Netflix. And honestly, this is simply the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. So let's talk about it. So honestly, after Jake's win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you'd think that Jake Paul would want to fight somebody ranked in the cruiserweight division contenders for a belt, especially because Jake Paul for the longest time is like, oh, I want to be a world champ. I want to be a world champ. This is not how you do it. Having an exhibition with a lightweight champion in Gervonta Tank Davis is not how you do it. It's how you take a backtrack, but this won't help with anything. This won't help you get a belt. This won't help you get recommended for a belt. Honestly, it's just all it is a huge cash grab. This will make so much money because you have the haters that want to see Jake Paul lose or get hurt, but you also have the curious fans who are like, well, this is an interesting fight because one's a freaking lightweight and one's a 200-pound cruiserweight. Like, honestly, I'm thinking that Jake Paul does not want to become a world champ due to the fact that he's not taking fights against people who could get him that belt. If he beats all the people he needs to beat in the cruiserweight rankings, then he could get a belt. But no, he's deciding to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. It's a bad look for boxing and honestly a bad look for both fighters. The reason it's a bad look for Gervonta Davis is because after the majority draw with Lamont Roach, who many could argue Lamont beat Tank, you'd think that Tank would want to come back, beat Lamont Roach or get through him and then go for Jake and then go for the exhibition. But no, he's doing this. There was rumors of a rematch with Lamont, but that was basically canceled when Tank got arrested, and now instead this monstrosity is gonna happen and it's gonna be a clown show. I respect Jake Paul as a boxer. I see what he's trying to do. I see that he is dedicated. You know, he works hard, but this simply is not the way to do it. This is not the way to prove, oh, I could become a world champ. Oh, I'm great. This is not a way to shut the haters up. This is a way to make the haters hate you even more and get more haters. If you hurt Gervonta Tank Davis, dude, nobody will respect you at all. Maybe the little kids who watch your channel will respect you, but nobody else will, especially not the boxing fans and critics. If you want the critics to respect you, then you should be fighting people like Anthony Joshua, who he was originally supposed to fight, but it fell through because they couldn't decide on where they wanted to have the fight streamed, which you'd be guessing it was DAZN, but I guess not. But yeah, this is gonna be a huge money grab. This is gonna be making probably millions and definitely close to the level of what the Paul vs. Tyson fight made. You know, this is Gervonta Tank Davis. He is a big name and he's a great fighter, you know, but also this is, like I said, a huge backtrack for Jake Paul too. You know, the fights I would like to see Jake take were, like I said, Joshua and most importantly Tommy Fury, because Tommy Fury was the only person that Jake ever lost to. So I would think that Jake would want to avenge that loss, and he's tried, but of course Tommy Fury's kind of overpricing himself, acting like he's worth more than Jake's offering, which he's not. He's not that good of a fighter, which is why I think probably Jake could beat Tommy Fury in a rematch. You know, Tommy is not too good of a boxer and he's been fighting basically journeymen his entire career, and especially in his last fight. He fought a major journeyman in his last fight, May 9th. He just cruised his way to a unanimous decision or split decision against another journeyman, which no surprise there because he's been fighting journeyman up to when he defeated Jake Paul, which is where he gets all his credibility from and all his worth from, because if he never fought Jake or he never beat Jake, he'd be just like a no-name boxer, basically another journeyman or a different journeyman for somebody else. But he fought and beat KSI and Jake Paul, which made him think that he's all that and he actually is worth something. Meanwhile, he's really just overpricing his worth. But yeah, those are the roads that I want to see Jake take, and more importantly, I probably want to see him take the road of getting that cruiserweight world title. If he goes down the ranking and defeats those people, then he could have a cruiserweight world title. The reason he's not going down the list and defeating those fighters is because there's no hype behind those fighters. There's none at all. All of them are no names and they're not good for marketing. Jake's a marketer, a promoter. That's what he is. He's a promoter slash fighter. He's only taking big named fights. If none of those guys aren't big names, which none of them are, he's not gonna fight them. That's why I don't think Jake will become a champ for a very long time, because he's just gonna keep taking these money fights. You know, he's gonna keep taking the fights that don't challenge him but bring in loads and loads of money, because that's just how Jake is. I'd love to see him fight for a world title. I'd love to see him fight an actual challenge, but he's not going to because there's no hype behind that. He's getting hype from fighting fighting in exhibitions against huge fighters like Gervonta Tank Davis. You know, he's doing stuff to remain consistent with time and with boxing. It's as simple as that, really. Like, people are saying, like Logan Paul is saying, oh, he's probably gonna become a world champ in less than 5 years. I don't think so. If he keeps having fights like this, he's not gonna become a world champ for a very, very long time. If he finally decides, oh, I'm gonna fight the ranked fighters in my division, then he'll win a world title. Because my guess is none of those guys have been on this type of stages that Jake Paul has been on. He sold out an entire football stadium when he fought Mike Tyson, so he'd be ready for that. But these guys would probably have the same fate as Ryan Borland and Andre August. They'd crack under pressure when the big lights and the huge crowds came up on them, and they'd get knocked out by Jake. You know, maybe the number one contender wouldn't fall under pressure, but a lot of those other fighters would definitely fall under pressure. But I guess we'll never know, because Jake keeps taking these gimmick fights against people like Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, I'll definitely keep wondering what is next after Gervonta Tank Davis, because no matter what, this is an exhibition at the end of the day, so it's not going on anybody's permanent record. But I do wonder, well, what's after this? What can be next for Jake after this exhibition? Because I do want to see him do all those things. Now, if I had to name the single one thing that stands alone that I want him to do the most, probably avenge that one loss against Tommy Fury. That would be probably as big of a money fight, if not a little bigger, than when he originally fought Tommy. And honestly, possibly Jake could defeat Tommy this time, because Tommy did not look good in his last fight. But we'll just have to see. I will definitely be watching this exhibition between the two of them. You guys will probably be watching the exhibition between the two of them. Everybody will. As much as we hate that this is happening, we're still gonna watch it, because at the end of the day, it's entertaining, and there's a possibility, if Tank is skilled enough, that he could actually pose a significant challenge for Jake, because all he needs to do is just get past the jab, because that's what I assume that Jake is going to be using the most in this fight to keep Tank at bay, because Tank definitely probably has more power, more snap with his punches. But we'll just have to wait and see. This is definitely shocking, but at the same time not so shocking, because this was rumored to have happen even before the Paul vs. Chavez Jr. fight. This exhibition was whispered like in the shadows like forever now, so it was only a matter of time before it was confirmed, and now that it has been, it's just kind of ridiculous. But those are just my opinions on the announcement of an exhibition match between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.